Good morning. This is a recording for Sunday, November 5th. In this series, we have already taken a very detailed look at the 3 steps of the forgiveness path: telling the story, naming the hurt, and granting forgiveness. And it may seem that this is the destination, right? We either choose to forgive or we choose not to forgive. But actually, forgiveness itself is not the end of the path, because granting of forgiveness is not the end of the healing process. We all live in a delicate web of community, visible and invisible. And time and again, the connecting threads get damaged and must be repaired. Once you have been able to forgive, the final step is to either renew or release the relationship you have with the one who has harmed you. Indeed, even if you never speak to the person again, even if you never see them again, even if they're dead, they live on in ways that affect your life profoundly. To finish the forgiveness journey and create the wholeness and peace you crave, you must choose whether to renew or release the relationship. After this final step in the healing path of forgiveness, you wipe the slate clean of all that caused a breach in the past. No more debts are owed. No more resentments fester. Only when you renew or release the relationship can you have a future unfettered by the past. So, what does it mean to renew or release a relationship? You might think you are not in a relationship with a stranger who assaulted you, or the person in prison who killed your loved one, or the cheating spouse you divorced so many years ago. But a relationship is created and maintained by the very act of harm that stands between you. This relationship, like every relationship that calls for forgiveness, must be either renewed or released. When your spouse says, for example, "I'm sorry for yelling at you," you may forgive and continue on in the marriage, renewing the relationship effectively. When your spouse says, "I'm sorry for betraying your trust," you may forgive, but choose not to renew the relationship. You may choose to divorce, release the relationship. The decision to renew or release is a totally personal choice that only you can make. Obviously, it's easier to choose to renew a relationship when it is a close connection, such as a spouse, parent, sibling, or close friend. With these intimates, it is much harder to release the relationship completely, as the threads of memory and intimacy that bind you are so strong. It is easier to release a relationship with an acquaintance, neighbor, stranger, because these people often don't hold as much of your heart. When we choose to release a relationship, that person walks off with a piece of our hearts and a piece of our history. The choice is not one to be made lightly or in the heat of the moment. Let me repeat that again. When we choose to release a relationship, that person walks off with a piece of our heart and a piece of our history. That's why the choice to release is not one to be made lightly or in a heated scandal in the heat of the moment. Renewing our relationships is how we harvest the fruits that forgiveness has planted. Renewal is not an act of restoration. We don't make a carbon copy of the relationship we had before the hurt or insult. Renewing a relationship is a creative act. We kind of make a new relationship. And it is possible to build a new relationship regardless of the realities of the old relationship. It is even possible to renew a relationship born out of violence. Renewing relationships is how we turn out curses into blessings and continue to grow through our forgiving. It is how we make restitution for what was taken and set right what was made wrong. Even if the relationship was injurious or hurtful, it is still a piece of shared history. That's why Desmond Tutu says, the considered decision to release a relationship is a valid choice. But even so, the preference is always toward renewal and reconciliation, except in cases where safety is an issue. Interesting, isn't it? So he says that the preference is always toward renewal and reconciliation, except in cases where safety is an issue. In other words, whenever possible, we must do the hard work to rebuild right relationship with one another. Enemies can become friends, and perpetrators can recover their lost humanity. So today let's do a new practice. It's called releasing or renewing. Take a comfortable position and take a moment to settle. Settle into your body, your heart, your mind. Settle into this moment, right here, right now. Your breath is nice and soft, completely natural. Just see if you can get some spaciousness in your breathing so that all the experiences of the present moment can flow through you as energy that they are, without struggle. Now enter your place of safety. It can be a real or imaginary place where you just feel good, at home, completely safe. Also, invite a trusted and affirming companion to sit with you there in this place of safety. Again, this can be a real or imaginary figure, somebody you trust deeply. And now think of somebody who you have forgiven recently or who you really want to forgive but haven't yet. Allow yourself to feel all the hope and all the anxiety that surround your relationship with this person. Pay attention to the emotions that this evokes, the thoughts, all the hopes, and all the anxieties that surround your relationship with this person. And once you've identified them, describe your hopes and fears to your trusted companion. Your companion is not here to judge anything or provide any advice on your decisions. They're here to affirm your inner wisdom, something you already know. So I'll give you some time in silence so that you can actually imagine yourself describing your hopes and fears to this trusted companion. All the hopes and anxieties that surround the relationship with the person you have just forgiven or want to forgive but haven't yet. And your trusted companion is just listening. They are not giving you any advice, no judgment, just holding the space for you, witnessing your process. When you're done talking to your trusted companion, place your hands on your heart and ask yourself, is it for my highest good to renew or release this relationship? And listen to the answer that comes from your heart. Is it for my highest good to renew or release this relationship? Whatever comes from your heart, this is it. And now that you've heard your heart, you can leave the space. Of course, you can come back again and again here as many times as you need. But for now, just place your hands on your heart and thank yourself for this powerful work you've just done. Send yourself the energy of gratitude and loving kindness. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well in body and mind. May I feel safe, protected, at ease. May I know deep, natural peace. And as you gently let go of your practice, as usual, scan your body. Notice what's going on for you right now, physically, emotionally, mentally. How are you really? As you go through your day today, I invite you to reflect on the fact that forgiveness itself is not the end of the healing path. There is one more decision to be made to renew or to release the relationship. And remember, if the person you're wanting to forgive has passed, it still doesn't preclude you from renewing or releasing them. Because it's all happening in your heart, not in the physical world. Well, sometimes in the physical world, but mostly in your heart, or first and foremost in your heart. And then it can translate into the reality. And I'm also wondering if you agree with the statement Desmond Tutu makes here that the preference is always toward renewal and reconciliation, except in cases where safety is an issue. How does that land for you? Personally, I'm not sure if I completely agree, even though I do see his point. But I'm definitely going to ponder this, and I hope we can discuss it sometime. Thank you so much for being here today. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you tomorrow.